Hello everybody. Today I am going to use my Russian nesting dolls here to demonstrate a model of consciousness for you to understand yourself, other people, your sense of reality. And once we go through these, I'm going to talk to you about disidentification and identification, which is really important to understand, and not just understand, but know how to work with when it comes to restructuring your relationship to these aspects of your own consciousness. Starting off, we have got the collective unconsciousness. Within the collective unconsciousness, we have archetypes. We have all of the things that the collective of humanity does not know that they do not know. That's what the unconsciousness is. It's what I don't know that I don't know, okay? That goes inside of our personal unconscious. The unconsciousness is different from the subconscious because the unconscious, again, is what we don't know that we don't know. So these are the things that are repressed within us. Now, here's why this model of the Russian nesting doll is so critical, because every layer that you go up, or we'll say out, every expanded layer within the being, where there is more awareness, more capacity for awareness, is all we're doing is we're just going from what the collective doesn't know that they don't know to what we don't know that we don't know. And when we get to this one here, which is our subconscious, within the subconscious also exists our personal and collective unconsciousness. Well, how can that be? Well, the subconscious is what you do know, but you have forgotten temporarily, right? So think about how many times you've had an idea or you've had a memory surface and then you kind of fell back asleep. And then all it took was some little thing, maybe a word that someone said, and it triggered it. You go, oh yeah, forgot that I know that. That's the subconscious. Within that is our personal and collective unconsciousness, right? Which is seeking to bubble its way up into the subconscious, because that would be the next stratosphere, the next layer for it. The things that exist in the unconscious are seeking to be made conscious. And the first point, before they make it to the aware ego and the superconsciousness, or this non-localized awareness, is that it bubbles up into the subconscious. And we oftentimes move between being aware of that thing and not being aware of that thing. Now, within the subconscious also exists our parts, our aspects of the self with the capital S, the fragments of the sub-personality. So that's this right here. The subconscious, we've got parts. And again, this is why this model is so helpful, because we can also have parts of us that we are unconscious of. So just because we've made it here, just because we have parts of us that are in the subconscious that we're aware of, and then we're kind of not aware of it again, and then we're aware of it, it means we also have that going on at a deeper layer, which is that we have parts of us that have been exiled. We have parts of us that are repressed that we don't even know are there. Okay, so once we get to this is the subconscious, then we get to the aware ego, the self with the capital S. And the aware ego is not the final boss, but that's the main thing that I talk about a lot, is the self with the capital S. It's the capacity to have choice, because the aware ego is aware. It's aware of all of the other layers that are happening in here, not the unconsciousness, right? But the subconscious. And within that, there is a choice. There's a choice on what to do with the polarity that exists internally, the splits, the opposites, the pairs of Siamese twins internally, because that's how parts function. Is they function in these bifurcated, sometimes trifurcated ways. right? Like there's a part of me that wants to do this, and there's a part of me that wants to do the exact opposite of that. One really good example would be anxious avoidant attachment style, right? There's a split in the attachment style. So when you get to the self with the capital S, there's a choice. There's an awareness and there's a relationship to what's here, the parts that are in the subconscious. And we make that process conscious. And now we start to become the expression of the multi-dimensional self. We start to go, oh, I have all of these pieces and aspects to me. These are all different energies that I can utilize, and some of them need to have the volume turned up, some of them need to have the volume turned down, but there needs to be a sense of sovereignty and agency over where the being is moving, because otherwise we will just be pulled in all these different directions that are being operated by the subconscious and the unconscious, like a leaf blowing around in the wind, okay? Then we get to the super consciousness, non-localized awareness, a position of awareness. This, one way to think about this is like a bird's eye view, but that is not at all enough to encapsulate the totality of what the super consciousness is. This brings us to a whole other level. This is the level, right? Here, we're able to recode ourselves through choice. Here, we are in touch with the eternal, non-localized nature of our consciousness, and with access to that through slowing down, through ritual, through practice, through truly disidentifying with this one ego structure that we have that's made up of many different parts, being able to zoom out of the entire picture, see ourselves, not just to see ourselves as an eternal being, but to feel and be the essence of that eternal nature. And from that coherence, to code the body, to begin to work with the unlimited potentiality that we are. This is the final boss. And because we know that it's not linear, look, it's all cased within itself. The first time that I ever came across this Russian nesting doll model was when I was 15, and I had what can only be described as like a temporary soul walk-in that was spontaneous and very unexpected. And I saw that everything was happening all at once. I saw that everything was happening in these nested layers. We just couldn't see a lot of those layers. And our consciousness functions just like that, right? It's all kind of happening at the same time. And yet, our experience of that tends to be linear. But it tends to be also in a spiral, right? So we tend to perceive time, because we have a full 24-hour cycle, we tend to perceive time as a linear stretch. But when you get on the personal development and the healing and the spiritual journey that is remembering yourself as an eternal being, that process isn't linear, right? It's a spiral. It's a layered path that we walk. It's a layered path that we are. It's an unfolding, it's an unfurling of each of these layers within our own consciousness. So now we have to talk about identification and disidentification. Now, what happens is that a lot of people try to get here, and then they lose touch with, right? They end up becoming a fragmented shell. All of this gets disconnected from. You can't just have this. This is not why you are in a human body, to simply be a non-localized point of awareness with no ego, with no individual self, right? All of it serves a purpose. There's a reason why it's there. Not so that we can only transcend it, but so that we have choice within it, because we are going to continue to be an individual human being in a body. but we are not limited. We are not as limited as we think that we are. So the identification and the disidentification process is really critical. We need to be able to identify and go into what is existing within the subconscious. What is existing in the unconscious? Well, say, how do you know something that you don't know? Oftentimes through traveling through the subconscious or doing some type of hypnosis or some type of meditative process where you gain access to what's in the unconscious, right? And it starts to bubble up here. But we've got to be able to fully and completely go into what keeps moving in and out of forgetfulness and remembering. I remember and then I'm in amnesia again. The reason that the identification is so important is because oftentimes we will try to understand something from the mind that we can't fully grasp. We have to go into it. We have to literally know it from the inside out so that the aware ego knows how to be in proper relationship with that. But without the process of disidentification, where the aware ego recognizes that it is not just this one part. Let's say you're working with a part of you. You're not just that one part, right? You're all of these different aspects and subpersonalities. And some of those things are trauma responses and adaptations that need to be worked with. Some of those things are gifts and inherent qualities and talents about you. Even things that we've developed from trauma can still be a fantastic gift, right? It's just, is it in the right place at the right volume? We have to be able to disidentify with it so that the self, with the capital S, the aware ego, can have a relationship with it, which gives us access to choice. And then we've got to be able to identify with the super consciousness, the non-linear consciousness, so that, what? So that we are able to then be in relationship from that with the aware ego. It's a position beyond just our own individual ego. It's all that is. And this is where we have the capacity to tap into the all that is and code everything that's in here from this place of coherence, from this place of opulence, from this place of, wait a minute, all of the limitations that have been instilled in me, or that I've consumed and continue to consume through my thoughts, through my beliefs, through right? That starts to change when we recognize, and not just recognize, but have ways of moment to moment and daily contacting the super consciousness, embodying that non-localized awareness, which then, right, we want to disidentify with that so that we can know the self with the capital S, and then identify with this. This game of disidentification and identification is really important because we want to be asking ourselves in all moments, what am I identifying with right now? What is for me? What is not for me? What's a yes for me? What's a no for me? And there's a lot of things that we are identified to that we don't actually need to be, that we need to actually disidentify from so we can get a view of the bigger picture so that we actually know what choices to make. And remember, when we go all the way into the subconscious, we don't oftentimes know. We might think that we know ourselves, but we don't oftentimes know what we're identified with until we really start to listen to ourselves, until we really start to look at our life, until we really start to become aware of the choices that we're making. And especially if it's in the unconscious, it's hidden from us. And so this isn't something that we force our way through. This is something that requires us to slow down and to be still. There's a movement within that stillness, but it requires us to pay attention, not forcing our way. That this is how the psychic realm works. The multidimensional, the quantum realm is not a realm of force. It's not a realm of, let me project my idea of what I think that this is onto it. No, it is a field of consciousness which works upon you if you allow it. So I hope that you found this helpful. If you guys have any thoughts about this, any questions, any ideas, please put them in the comments below.